everyone. So today's episode was originally supposed to be a collab with my friend Carson, but due to some family matters, we're pushing that back a few days. We'll end up doing that probably next week or the week after. So today I wanted to hop in and share some things that have been kind of eye-opening for me the past, I'd say even year of running my business, and just like some stuff that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. And I've been doing a lot of mindset and inner work recently, because when I first got started with my business, it was a lot of like, here are the strategies on how to do X, Y, and Z. Here's what you should be doing, and like all these different systems and stuff like that. And over time, I realized that that stuff is super important, don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes into running a business that I never really thought of, and it's kind of hitting me now. So yeah, we're gonna dive into that. And this is gonna be more of like a raw episode if you're listening on the podcast later on. And I'm just gonna kind of share some things that I've learned about myself, and I've learned about this entire process the past 2 years of running a business. So the first thing is that anything can really change in an instant. And this was a hard one for me to wrap my brain around and for me to accept, that anything can kind of change in literally a split second. Good and bad. Things can come and go that are amazing. Things can come and go that are bad. But anything really can change in a split second. And the reason for me writing this down is because a lot of you who have been following me for a while know that back in September, I was at like my peak month. Like everything was going great. My business was like on cloud 9. I was so happy with everything. And then literally in one day, I went back to square zero. 2 of my clients reached out to me and they said that they didn't have the budget to move forward anymore for Q4, which meant that I was down like $10,000 between those 2 clients, and it was really, really scary. And it all happened literally within 24 hours. Like it was a very massive shift for me, and it all happened in an instant. And there's the same with good. There's the same with good things as well. Like I know we're just talking about money right now, but like commission wise, like doing affiliate marketing, like you can make $1,000 commissions in the blink of an eye. It just happens out of nowhere. So like anything can really change in an instant. It's the same with like I lost a family member, or like losing a friend and stuff like that. Everything can really change in a matter of seconds, and sometimes it just comes out of nowhere, good and bad. But yeah, that is a big lesson that I had to wrap my head around, was that you can have a plan and you can plan for everything to go at like perfectly 100% according to the plan, but something could change and that plan just completely changes, and everything can just change in an instant. So that was a massive lesson I learned. Number 2 was that, a year changes you so much more than you think. Like, I think people underestimate how much time that there is in a year. Like, I think everyone's like, 2023 is already gone by so fast. And it's true. Like, we're almost in May. We're almost in May of 2023, which is insane to say out loud. And it's gone by so fast. And the moves that you make and the changes that can happen in that amount of time are just incredible. Like I was listening, so I'm part of this 30 days to 30K with Mary Morgan, and what's insane about it is she shared her story that like 1 month she was making $20,000 a month, and then the next month it was like 100K, and I was like, what? Like some people can't even like wrap their head around that, and in a month she was able to do that, but some people like in a year it's like getting to that $100,000 mark, and it's like just all of this like weird mindset kind of like warps have been going on in my brain recently, and like so much has changed from January to now, and we're 5 months in, and it's like I never would have thought these changes would have happened in this year. But the best example that I can give for this is during COVID. COVID was a big year for me. It was a big year for me and for my business because I was kind of stepping into who I was as a person. I wasn't just like side hustling on Fiverr anymore. I was like trying to make this a legitimate business. And that year, going from 2020 to 2021, like September to probably like June, was a massive shift for me. As a person, as a business owner, like just so much had happened in that year. I had relationship problems that defined who I am today. I had business problems that defined who I am today, and it just made me such a stronger, more independent person. And I really came out of my shell during those few months. And if you'd asked me at the beginning of COVID, like, what I would have imagined my life to look like or who I would have imagined myself to be, it would not have been the person I became after I took my business to that next level during COVID. Like, I would never have imagined that. But the experiences that I went through in that short amount of time, it completely defined the person that I am today. So keep that in mind. A year can really change you way more than you think it does. Like, so much happens in such a short amount of time. Like, God, I can't even like put it into words. But like, so much can happen in such a short period of time that you'll never be expecting. So just keep your mind open with all the possibilities that are out there for you, because like I said, we're almost in May, which is crazy to say out loud. And so much has already changed, I know, for myself and for a lot of my clients since January. Like, going into 2023, I was not engaged, and now I'm engaged, and I'm planning a wedding that's supposed to be happening in September, and I'm signing on massive clients, and it's like, what is going on in my life right now where 5 months ago I never would have thought that sort of stuff. So just keep an open perspective with everything. Like, day to day, it might seem, oh, something is so far out there, like a goal that I have for November of this year is so far away, but in reality, it's gonna come up on you way quicker than you think it will. And just know that, like, small little changes that you start making today, small little things that you start doing today are gonna snowball to when you hit that target or when you hit that goal. And it's just incredible to see when you pan out and look at it, like, from an overall view. Number 3 is I learned that I needed to start taking more chances on myself. I was the type of person who was always like a people pleaser and trying to like stay in my lane, trying to stay safe with everything. I never wanted to try new things. I was always terrified of doing that, and that was not good. That was not good for me. That was not good for my business. And I learned over time that I needed to start believing in myself and starting to take chances on myself, because if I didn't at least say that I tried with something or put myself out there or just like do it once and see how it would feel, then I would never know. And a great example of this is when I started my TikTok. I had no intention of building a social media business based around TikTok and short form video and all of this stuff 2 years later. But if I'd never taken that chance and just created my account and seen what the possibilities were going to be and, you know, just put out those first few videos not expecting anything, just doing it for me, then I never would be in the position that I am today. So start taking more chances on yourself. Start taking more risks. And risks don't have to be monetary. They don't have to be putting your life in danger. They could just be small little things that you do throughout the day that make you feel uncomfortable. And over time, the more you start to take those risks, that's when you start to have bigger leaps in life. That's when you start to have bigger jumps, and you know, you start to shift your perspective on the world by taking these risks on yourself. And like I said, if I never created that first TikTok video, if I'd never posted it, I never would have made the second one or the third one or the 20th one that ended up going viral and then changing my entire life. If I just played it safe the whole time and never took a chance on myself, I wouldn't be where I am today. So if you have a thought, if you have a desire, if you have something inside of you that's like, you know, I kind of want to try this thing, but I'm not really 100% sure if I should, do it. Just do it. If, like I said, if it's not like a super financial big risk or, you know, a life-threatening risk, like, just do it. Just take a chance on yourself and see what happens. Just try. Just try. Like, what's the worst that could happen? You say you failed and then you realize that you don't like whatever it was that you did, or you just realize it wasn't aligned with who you are. Okay, that's awesome. You know, you figured out what path not to take. But if you hadn't taken that risk, if you hadn't taken that chance on yourself, then you never would have known what direction to go in. So always take chances on yourself. And that's something I still have to remind myself to this day to do. And I'm still practicing that all of the time, is saying yes to things and, you know, saying no to things that I know aren't aligned with me, but taking chances on myself and opening my mind to the different possibilities of what's out there and what I could do. Number 4 is that your path is not defined. Your path that you have set in stone inside of your brain is not defined. And the first time I kind of realized this was in college. And I have a lot of lessons from college. Now that I say that, I should probably just do a whole podcast episode on things that I learned in college that now have like changed me as a person. But anyway, I first learned this in college when I applied to school. I originally applied for the Naval Academy to graduate as a naval officer in the U.S. Navy and all that sort of stuff. And I didn't get in. And it was really disappointing for me because that's what I thought I wanted to do for so long. But in reality, like, looking back on it, it was mostly just like my family and friends that were kind of pushing me towards that because I thought I'd be good at it. But throughout college, I still tried that route. The school that I went to, Norwich University, it's up in Vermont, and it's a senior military college. And one of the cool things about that is they have an ROTC program where you can still, like, it's not like an academy where you're already in the military. Like, you can be pursuing a contract in the military while you're up there. So I was trying to pursue a contract to become a naval officer for when I graduated. And I didn't end up getting it after the first 2 years, and it was really, really hard on me because up until that moment, I had no clue what I was going to do with my life. I had in my brain that was the only option, the only path that I could take. I didn't open up my brain to the different possibilities of what were out there for me or for the things that I actually wanted to do. I was just following what other people were telling me was right. Everyone's like, oh, you should do this. You should, graduate, become an officer. Like, you'd be so good at it. You should do engineering, all that sort of stuff. And if that hadn't fallen through the way it did, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that path that I had in my brain, that path that I'd set myself up on just wasn't aligned with who I was as a person. And that's totally, totally okay. That's totally okay for me to look back on and be like, yeah, that just wasn't what I was meant to do. And going through that whole process, I was, for lack of better terms, I guess, miserable. And I didn't realize why, because I always thought that it was what I should have been doing. But just know that, there's nothing is really set in stone. You can have this vision for yourself that, whatever it is that you envision your life to look like, you can put that on paper and say oh yeah, this is for me, because everyone else is telling me this is for me. But what you really need to do is dig deep and figure out what it is you want to be doing. What do you want to be doing with your life? And at that time, I didn't know anything about manifestation or mindset or vision boards or anything like that. All that woo-woo stuff that people talk about that you don't really realize is actually important. I didn't know any of that sort of stuff. So I just thought that my mentors, like my parents and my teachers and my advisors, they were right. Like, this is what I should be doing. But in reality, like, since I didn't know what I wanted, my path wasn't set in stone yet. And until you figure out what it is that you actually want in life, you're never gonna have a defined path. So I don't know if that fully came out the way that I wanted it to. I might need to sit on that thought a little bit more and create another episode about that. But just know that, like, the possibilities are endless of what you could be doing. You know, you could wake up one morning and you could have a TikTok video go viral, and then 4 months later you're starting your own social media agency and you're making thousands of dollars per month. You never know. So just keep your brain open, keep the possibilities open, you know, just accept whatever comes to you from the world. Number 5, another thing that I learned the past few years is that you need to let go of the past and just move on. You need to let go of the past. You need to let a lot of things go and move on from them. Whether that's with an old friend, whether that's with an experience that you had, whatever it might be, you need to forgive and forget. And I know that if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, I've had this like past traumatic experience that, you know, I can't let go of, I highly encourage you to do a lot of inner work. I encourage you to go to therapy, or to talk to someone who can help guide you out of that position. Because what I've realized the past 2 years is that if you're held up on something that happened in your past, then it's really difficult for you to move forward and kind of step into that next level of your life. I had something happen to me in college that I'm not going to go deep into because it was really, really difficult for me. But I had an experience that happened and it kind of traumatized me for a while because I was too afraid of letting it go. And I didn't know why I was too afraid to let it go, because I'd moved on from a situation, I'd come to closure with what had happened, but it was really difficult for me to move on from it. So I started talking professionally with other people about it, and I learned that if I don't get some closure with this situation, then I'm going to be preventing myself from making these leaps in my life. I'm preventing myself from opening my mind up to the different possibilities of what's out there for me. So, like I said, I know everyone's experiences are different, and I cannot speak for, you know, the past events that you've been through, but sometimes you just need to let go of the past and move on. And the best way to do that is through a professional. So I highly encourage, like, especially if you're in business, like, getting some sort of therapist or someone to talk to is really, really helpful. Because a lot of your family, your friends, like, the people who you think are close in your life, they'll never understand what you're going through. And these past experiences really kind of define who you become as a person. And as a business owner, you do a lot of inner work. You have to do a lot of inner work. Business really changes you at your core. And I always say you learn more about yourself running a business for 6 months than you do in any other time of your life. Like, you learn so much more about who you are. And in that learning process, when you're going through these experiences, that's when those inner traumas, those past events start to come up. The things that you haven't moved on from, the things that you haven't really accepted. So having some sort of therapy or someone in your life who you can talk to about those situations, who will give you closure with it, is going to really, really help build you as a person and just get you to those levels that you're looking to get to. So yeah, that's number 5. Number 6 is people come and go in your life. Now, I know a lot of these are very, like, kind of point blank, and they're more like personal stuff, but like I just said, a lot of these points that I bring up, like, your personal life bleeds into your business life and vice versa. So if you haven't figured out a lot of the personal stuff in your life, it's going to be really hard to figure out the business stuff. So when I say people come and go, it's as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, people in your life aren't really going to understand what you're doing. And it's okay to let those people go. It's okay to let go of friends who aren't supporting you on your journey. It's okay to let go of friends who are no longer aligned with your goals, because you are the person that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with high achieving individuals who are constantly striving for something better, who are on a mission to be a better version of themselves, you will become a better version of yourself. But if you're surrounded by people who aren't like that, who just, kind of meander through life and don't really care and just like put in minimal effort and, just don't have the visions that you have, then it's really it's hard to make those big leaps. Again, it's hard to move forward with everything. So know that it's okay to let go of some people who are just not aligned with you. A lot of my friends, who I thought were my friends, we had common interests back in college and we, had some great times, but I wouldn't go out of my way to surround myself with them anymore, because they're just not the type of people that I want to be hanging out with. And not that they're bad people, it's just our visions, our goals, our destinies are not on the same path. So if you feel like you have someone who's just like holding you back in your life like that, don't be afraid to let them go. Like, just let people go who are not aligned with the direction you want to be moving in anymore. And that is totally okay. Whether that's family, whether that's friends, some of those conversations might be harder to have, but don't keep people in your life who are going to hold you back from success. Like, don't be surrounding yourself with people who are just going to bring you down, whether it's intentionally or unintentionally, because that's not fair to you. You are the main character in your life. You are the number one most important thing. And if you're surrounding yourself with people who aren't bringing you up and just dragging you down, then let them go. Like I said, I know it's easier to say than to do. I've had to do it, but you have to. You have to. Because you're never going to be the best version of yourself. You're never going to have the freedom and the fun and the flexibility that you want in your life if you're holding on to people who are preventing you from getting that. All right, we're going to take a sip of water real quick. Also, I'm going to check in on Doug, because Doug was just like twitching really bad. He sometimes has these things where he's sleeping and he'll just twitch while he's sleeping. So I hope he's okay. He's just kind of lying there right now. All right, I think we're on number 7. I don't know what number we're on. Number 7. You're so much stronger than you know. Oh, if I could go back and tell little Olivia one thing, it would be that. You are so much stronger than you know. You are so much more powerful and capable than you will ever know. And it's incredible. Like, some of the things that you can do as a human being, or like that I can do as a woman, like I never would have thought I could do. And I'm not just talking about like physical strength, I'm talking about like mental strength. Like, you are so much stronger and more powerful than you know. You have a voice inside of you that is it needs to be heard. Don't ever let anyone tell you otherwise, because you are such a strong and powerful and amazing human being. Honestly, like, a perfect example of this is the gym. Like, I know this is a very, like, we're talking about strength gym. Like, no, going to the gym is tough, because every time, like, let's back up for a second, okay? I'm trying to make this example seem good. So, I do CrossFit, and I didn't start this until probably after Christmas, after the New Year, when I came back to Tennessee, and it scared me. It scared me so much, because I'd never done weightlifting in my life. I'd never done it. I'd always been a swimmer. I'd swum since I was like 5 years old competitively, and I'd never tried any other sport before. So when I first got into CrossFit, it was terrifying. I was so afraid of what was going to come out of this because I didn't think I was strong enough. I didn't think that I was flexible enough or whatever. Like, I had all of these, like, little inner fears inside of me, and showing up the first few times was, like, paralyzing to me. And I normally don't get like that. I'm a very, like, confident, outgoing kind of person, but there was something about just walking into the CrossFit gym and just seeing all of this stuff, and I was like, I have no clue what I'm doing here, and I do not know why I'm here. The reason I first got into it was because my fiance is very much into CrossFit. He's actually really good at it, but I had never done it before, and I was going for him. I was going just to be, like, supportive and be like, oh yeah, I'll go and try out a few classes and have fun with you. But, oh my god, I got in the gym and it was terrifying. And basically, if you've never done it before, at least at our gym, what they do is they have a movement of the day that they do at the very beginning, and it's typically some sort of, like, strength training or like weightlifting activity. Sometimes they put gymnastics in there. And then they also have the workout of the day, which is like all the crazy CrossFit workouts that you see online. And at the first time I went, we did overhead press. So just like putting the weight over your head, like very, very simple. And I was so scared to put any weight on the bar. I'm like, Sam, I have no clue how much I can push over my head. Like, I don't want to crush myself. Am I going to break my back? Like, what am I going to do? So we got there, and the teacher, bless her heart, she was so sweet. Like, I love her. She's one of my favorite teachers at that gym. And she comes over to me, and she's like helping me with the movements. She's like teaching me exactly what I need to be doing, like how to position my arms and, like, you know, bracing my core and all that sort of stuff. And she's like, okay, we'll put some weight on now. Now, keep in mind, the bar is already 35 pounds, which, like, is a good, like, it's a decent amount of weight to, like, put over your head. Like, 35 pounds is so, you know, it's 35 pounds. So she's like, we'll put some weight on now. And I'm like, okay, like, what are we talking, like 5-pound plates here on each side? And she's like, no, we'll try 15s on each side. So at this point, I was about to push 65 pounds over my head, and I'm like, oh God, I don't know if I can do this. It went up. It went right up. Easy. And I was like, I surprised myself. I was like, wow, I can put 65 pounds over my head. There's no way. And so she's like, okay, we'll put some more on. It's a 1 rep max. We gotta see how much you can do. I'm like, okay. So we grabbed 2 more 15-pound plates. We put those on. We went 95 pounds over my head. At that point, I was like, oh, I really don't know if I could do this. I took it off the bar, and I was about to put it over my head, and I'm like, oh, this is heavy. And I got it up. I struggled a little bit, but I got it up. And that was my first time ever putting any amount of weight, like, over my head, really. And I got it up. I got 95 pounds up over my head, and I was like, holy shit, I just did that. I just did that. What? And I was looking at some of the other girls in the gym, and they were like, I don't know, they were still with just like the 15s or even like 25 pounds on each side. And I'm like, I'm brand new to this, and I just did that. How much more can I put on? What actually is my max? Like, wow, I'm way stronger than I think I am. And so I put on 2 10s on each side, I think. So that would have been, what, an extra 20 pounds? So that would have been 105? 115? Yeah, 115. So I put those on, and I kind of knew stepping off that one was not going to be it. And I started to push it up, and I couldn't. I dropped it. So we went down a few pounds. I put on 5s instead, and I think the max that I got was 105 that first time. And my fiance looks at me, and he goes, Olivia, you are so much stronger than you know. And I know he was just talking about my physical strength in that moment, but it kind of just, like, lit something up inside of me where I'm like, I really am. I'm way stronger than I think I am. I have such little expectations of me that I can only put this amount of weight over my head. I can only, you know, reach these goals in my life. Like, no, I'm so much stronger and so much more capable than I know. And that's true of you as well. You are so much more strong and so much more capable than you will ever know. you have so much more power inside of you that you're not using. You haven't tapped into it. And maybe it's just something like you're at the gym and it's just a form thing. Maybe it's in your business. It's just a strategy or some sort of like missing piece. Like two things just aren't connecting. But you are so much more powerful and so much more capable than you know. And you have this inner strength inside of you. You just need to tap into it. You need to use it. So just keep that in mind. Like you are so strong. You're so strong. And the events that you're going through, anything that you're going through in your life right now is going to define you later on. And it might not seem like it in the moment. It might be like, this is terrible. What am I doing? I need to get out of this. Fight or flight mode is going to take in. But you're going to look back on it in 3, 6, 9, 12, 18 months in the future, and you're going to be like, wow, this one thing really changed who I am today. So never forget that. And the last thing that I want to talk about, that kind of ties everything together because we've already been talking about it, but is like, your mindset is everything. Your mindset really is everything. And I'm not gonna go super in depth with this one because like everything that I've talked about previously has been about mindset, but your mindset is literally the lifeblood of your business, of your personal life, of everything. If you do not train your brain, if you do not do the inner work and figure out who you are and figure out how your brain works, how you operate as a human being, I don't want to say you'll fail, but you will never reach your fullest potential. So do the inner work, do the mindset stuff. It might seem woo-woo and like not fun and, really inconveniencing at times, but if there's something I wish that I started taking seriously sooner, it was that. Because the more successful you get, the harder things you have to go through, and that means you need to have a stronger mind. You need to have that inner work. The foundations need to be there, and if the foundations are not there, then it's going to crumble. So, yeah, I know that this was kind of more just me talking with you guys in a candid kind of manner, but I really hope that this at least gave you some perspective, and just take a chance on yourself, you guys. You are so much stronger than you think you are, and your path is not defined for you. You are the captain of your ship. You are the one setting the standards for yourself. You are the one taking the different paths. You are the one who's in charge. So don't let anyone walk into your life and tell you otherwise. You need to be the one changing things. You need to be the one who's taking control. So with that being said, that is the end of this episode, whatever you're tuning in on. If you listen to this a few months from now or whatever it might be, everything I said still stands true. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye!